All right, welcome back to another video. In this particular video, of course, we're going to have a more advanced look at the 7 churches that were spoken about in the book of Revelations. Keep watching. Okay, thank you for tuning into this video. If you're new to my channel, consider subscribing. What I go over, of course, in these particular videos is esoteric research and exoteric research in retrospect to how it influences you and how it has guided the various different decisions that we might have made, and how being on a more pious journey, it could lead you on the path of attainment in your soul journey, okay? So in this particular video, we're going to be going into the Revelation of John, in the book of Revelation, how it deals with these particular 7 churches. And we want to kind of go in depth on it, not necessarily a surface level on it, but a more deep understanding as to what it's referring to. Now, before I get started in that particular, going into those scriptural references, I want to first take you to the letter of Galatians. So in Galatians, of course, if we look at chapter 4, line 19, this is what it says. It says, "My little children, of whom I travail in" what? Birth. It says, "again, until" what? "Christ be formed in you." Okay? This is very important that we start this way, because it looks like whoever is being spoken to are dealing with the will of rebirth. Okay, primarily because they have not worked out the appropriate functions from within themselves, of course, to get out of that particular will, if that makes sense. So until Christ be born in you, you little children, as he's saying here, he is travailing them in birth. Okay, it's very important that we look at that. Another passage, of course, that's important to look at is when it speaks about how this gospel of the kingdom have to be taught to the 4 corners, okay, and then the end will come, and then the end will come. So we're going to go into that in this particular video to understand what the kingdom actually means. So in other sacred passages, it refers to how the kingdom is actually inside of you and it is on the outside of you. It also talks about if they tell you, hey, it is in the sky somewhere, then the what? Birds will precede you. They say that if it's in the waters, it says then the fish will precede you. Do you get what I'm saying? So it says that the kingdom is actually on the inside of you. So in this particular video, going into the 7 churches, we're going to kind of get a understanding. Excuse me, that was like one of my little markers there. We're going to get a understanding of what it's actually talking about. So let's go to Revelations. If you have a pen or paper or anything like that, you might want to grab that so you can kind of like take some notes here, of course, and then you'll be able, after the video, to go the rest of the way in terms of opening up the investigation and doing research on your own, of course, so you can study to show thyself approved, as we're going to show that we've done in this particular video. So in Revelations chapter 2, it deals with the first church that it's referring to. And the first church is Ephesus. Okay, it says, "Unto the angel of the church of Ephesus." Wait, let's rewind a little bit. So when we go to, let's look at chapter 1 here. And it says, let's start at line 19. It says, "Write the things which thou hast seen, and the things which are, and the things which shall be hereafter." It says, "The mystery of the" what? 7 stars. Okay, y'all write this down now. "The mystery of the 7 stars, which thou sawest in my right hand, and the 7 golden candlesticks." It says, the 7 stars are the what? Angels of the 7 churches. The 7 stars are the angels of the 7 churches. Okay, so now what we want to identify here real quick is church base is not talking about a building somewhere. Okay, it's not talking about a contaminating group, organization, or any of that kind of stuff, or associating yourself with any of that. That's not what it's referring to. It's talking about a disc. Church basically means circle. It means disc. And in this particular interpretation, we're going to see that it actually is dealing with something also known as a chakra. And I'm going to expound on what I mean when it says the kingdom is actually on the inside of you, and how it refers to saying if you do not know yourself, you are the one that's dwelling in the poverty, and it is you who are that poverty. Okay, so let's go ahead and go back to Ephesus here. So it says, unto the angel of the church of Ephesus, unto the star, okay, that is monitoring, okay, the disc, okay, or the chakra, Ephesus, okay? It says, right, these things said he that holdeth the 7 stars in his right hand, who walketh in the midst of what? The 7 golden candlesticks. Okay, I know thy works and thy labor and thy patience, and how thou canst not bear them which are evil, and thou hast tried them which say they are apostles and are not, and hast found them liars. Okay, and has borne and has patience, and for my name's sake has not labored. It's giving you the credentials here on how to basically ascend this way. And then it says, and has not fainted. Okay. Nevertheless, I have somewhat against thee, because thou hast what? Left thy first love. Remember, therefore, from whence thou art fallen. Okay. In a video, I referenced something about like, has anybody had any type of visions of like falling, not necessarily hitting the ground or anything, but right here it says, remember from whence thou have fallen, okay, and repent and do the first works. So there was a place that you were located in, okay, and something took place where you had fallen, if you get what I'm saying. And then you had to travail, and you had to be incarnated, or you had to come into a vessel to be here to work out something that maybe you left. So it says here, remember from whence thou art fallen, and do the first works. Okay, so something has to be born from within you here, it looks like. Okay, so Ephesus, in my notes here, I have that identified as being between the sexual glands, the sexual organs, and so forth. And most people refer that as being the root chakra, okay, as being the root chakra. Okay, so that's what we have as Ephesus. Okay, what's the second church? 9:8, it says, unto the angel of the church in Smyrna write this. It says, these things said the first and the last, which was dead and is alive. I know thy works in tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich. Okay, and I know the blasphemy of them which say that they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan, meaning they are working for the lower self. It says, fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prisons, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days, and it says, be faithful until death, and I will give thee the crown of life. So here I have Smyrna as basically dealing with the prostate in males, and the uterus in women, coming up along the line of the spinal column. Okay, in that area also you're kind of dealing with the 2 witnesses. So that's in a later video. I just want to kind of quickly give you some reference points so you can write those things down, of course, and then just open up the investigation for yourself. So then we have the third here, that's line 12. It says, and to the angel of the church in Pergamos write, these things said he which had the sharp sword with 2 edges. I know thy works, and where thou dwellest, even where what? Satan's seat is. Satan's seat is. And now we're dealing with what's called the solar plexus. Okay, the solar plexus is where it's saying that that's where that seat is. Okay, so that's why it's important that you do focus kind of a little bit on what you're consuming, even though it says it's not what goes in the mouth that defiles a man, it's what comes out of the mouth. However, it is very important that you don't become code convoluted by taking part of certain ingredients and certain substances and so forth, to where it basically messes up the process of being able to raise and have that born within you properly, if that makes sense. So Leviticus chapter 11 is where you can find those dietary instructions that will help you with that. But we're talking about Satan's seat here, and that's in the solar plexus, which appears to be dealing with the stomach area. Okay, it's dealing with that area there. So that's why that's very, very important. Okay, so now moving along, now we have the fourth church here, which appears to be, or chakra, which appears to be Thyatira. okay, which appears to be Thyatira. That's in line 18. It says, unto the angel of the church in Thyatira write, these things said the Son of God, who hath his eyes like unto a flame of fire, and his feet are like what? Fine brass. Okay, I know thy works in charity and service. So now we're dealing with like the term Levi is basically dealing with being those who are in the heart area, those who are the ministers of the heart. And it says here, it's talking about, I know thy works and thy charity and service and faith and thy patience and thy works, and the last to be more than the first. Notwithstanding, I have a few things against thee, because thou sufferest that woman, what? Jezebel, okay, which calleth herself a prophetess, to teach and to seduce it looks like the servants here, to commit what? Fornication. So when you rise to that particular level, it's very important, of course, that you understand the tricks of the synagogue of Satan and how they try to use certain things to try to seduce you into fornication, okay? So you want to make sure that you don't fall victim to that. So now we're dealing with that particular chakra, which is the heart chakra. Moving along, now we're going to the next church, of course, and it looks like the next church here is going to be Sardis. Okay, so chapter 3, line 1, it says, unto the angel of the church in Sardis write, these things said he that hath the 7 spirits of God and the 7 stars. Okay, I know thy works, that thou hast a name, that thou livest and art dead. Be watchful and strengthen the things which remain that are ready to die. Okay, he who looks to what? Save his life shall lose it. Okay, but he who looks to lose his life shall what? Shall find it. Okay, so it says, for I have not found thy works perfect before God. Remember therefore how thou hast received and heard, and hold fast, and what? And repent. If therefore thou shalt not, I'll come unto thee as a thief, and thou shalt not know the hour which I come upon thee. Okay, so now we're dealing with Sardis here. Now, in my notes here, I have Sardis as the throat, as the larynx, the thyroid gland. I have it as the throat chakra. Okay, because here it says thou has a few names, so you're dealing with the words, some utterances here. Okay, so we want to be careful not to associate ourselves with contaminating organizations and contaminating groups, of course, because that kind of ties you to the world, because that's where it was created at. So that means that it kind of like makes you associated with that. So you want to make sure that you're trying to seek who you were before your so-called parents conceived you, and it's very difficult to do that when you're constantly around people trying to tell you who they think you are. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, if you're not a part of this group, if you're not a part of that group, if you don't follow that team or go to that university or that school, do you get what I'm saying? So you have so many people who are trying to tell you who they think you are, so it makes it very difficult for you to find out who you were before you were conceived. Blessed are those who what? Came into being before coming into being. Back to the churches here. So on Sardis, it looks like that is going to be the throat chakra here. Okay, so it's very important to work out the mysteries of the light when it comes to these particular areas from within you, so you can continue on your path of attainment. Okay, so the next one we have is going to be Philadelphia. Okay, so we have Philadelphia coming up here, and Philadelphia starts in line 7, chapter 3, Revelations, where it deals like this. It says, and to the angel of the church in Philadelphia write, these things said he that is holy, he that is true, he that had the key of David, he that openeth and no man shutteth. Okay, so we're dealing with the eyelids. Somewhere in the law, in those books, in those codes, it talks about how you will bind them up upon thy hand, and they will be what? As frontlets in between thine eyes. Now, this is for those, of course, who are keeping those divine instructions, and I'll have that somewhere up on the screen as a reference point to you. But this is what it's referring to, because in Philadelphia, of course, you're dealing with the frontlets in between the eyes, and it says, "This is he who what? Opening what? Your eye, and no man can shut." Do you get what I'm saying? Therefore, if thine eye be what? Single, then thine whole body shall be full of light. Okay, that was something I went over in the previous video. I'll put that in the description area where it deals with the light there. But here it's talking about something being open that no man can shut. So Philadelphia, of course, is dealing with between the eyebrows. It's dealing with the frontlets between the eyes. Okay, the eyelids. That's what it's speaking about when it says, bind them up upon thine hand, and they will be as frontlets in between thine eyes. That's having the mark of the most holy. Okay, so that's what we're dealing with in that particular chakra, of course. Now, when we move on, we have coming up as our last one here, we have the Church of Laodicea. And that the Laodiceans, it says, that's line 14. It says, and unto the angel of the church of the Laodiceans write these things, said the Amen, the faithful and true witness of the beginning of the creation of God. That's what it says here. I'm reading from a King James Version. It says, I know thy works, that thou art neither cold nor hot. I would that thou wert cold or hot. So then, because thou art lukewarm and neither cold nor hot, I will spew thee out of my mouth, because thou sayest, I am rich and increased with goods, and have need of what? Nothing. And knowest not that thou art wretched and miserable and poor and blind and naked. So what we're dealing with in this particular chakra, of course, is we're dealing with the pineal gland. We're dealing with the pineal gland, because right here it says, I counsel thee to buy of me gold tried in the fire, that thou mayest be rich and white in white raiment, that thou mayest be clothed, and thou shame of thy nakedness do not appear, and anoint thine eyes with eye slave, that thou mayest see. So when that particular chakra, of course, is advanced to, then you have the ability to be able to see. So you're no longer kind of like in that three-dimensional type thing. Of course, you're kind of like able to basically communicate and have an experience with the higher regions of things that are happening, of course, to where you're not necessarily life, love, and clueless, if you get what I'm saying. So you'll understand the tricks that are being done because you can actually see it. You'll have ears to hear. You will be able to hear. There's many rewards that come with doing this in spirit and in truth. And woe unto those who gain spiritual powers and misuse them. And those are the sons of perdition who have done that, the synagogue of Satan. So now in this particular video, we went through the 7 churches and what they are and how to identify them. And then you now have some reference points that you can go the rest of the way, of course, and open up the investigation for yourself on this and work out the mysteries of the kingdom of the light, which is actually within you. It's actually within you. It's not on the outside of you. It's actually within you. And you'll notice that it's on the outside of you after having Christ be formed in you, as is spoken about in Galatians chapter 4. So hopefully this video kind of give you an introduction of what we're going to be, the direction we're going to be headed in here, because the time is at hand. And this gospel of the kingdom is the one that has to be taught. You have to know who you are and from which you have fallen, and you have to do the first works, okay? Or your candlestick will be taken from its place. Okay, so if you have any questions or comments about this particular video, you can leave them underneath the like button in the description, in the comment area, of course, and I'll leave references in the description area for you as well. And I'll see you in the next video.